All right, what's good, y'all? How y'all doing? It's Three the Hard Way, episode 3. We're back with some new content for y'all. When y'all get this, it's going to be a brand new year, the episode. So I hope y'all enjoy the episode and have a great year. All right, so what's up, y'all? How y'all been?
Chilling, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Getting ready to eat and drink at the house. Being a responsible adult.
Wait, what are you guys making to eat? What are you guys eating?
We're making cacio de pepe and steak, and we're also making a cheesecake.
Wow. By we, you mean Roya?
Well, yeah, apparently yes.
Damn.
I usually help, but right now I'm at work right now. I'm working from home, so she's in the other room cooking.
Respect. What about you, John? What are you guys making?
Oh, we're chilling. I think we're just gonna like barbecue a little something out back. I've been like barbecue heavy all quarantine. So I think I just got like this nice I did do you guys fuck with Jamaican jerk?
Yes.
I did like a jerk. Like I've been marinating these chicken thighs for a day and a half in this jerk seasoning. I'm just gonna do like some jerk chicken thighs. It's chill.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
That sounds crazy, John. I'm gonna have to go steal something. There's no
good like Jamaican jerk in California, man. Correct me.
Wait, doesn't DeAndre Jordan? I think it's DeAndre Jordan have like a rub. He has like a special rub.
Really?
There's like a random. I think it might.
I thought he was vegan.
There's somebody. I mean, you could still put a rub on like meat substitutes.
It's kind of disrespectful. It's kind of disrespectful.
Somebody has one. I can't remember where I saw it, but someone has a rub, and I remember thinking
it's probably Serge Ibaka. He does that cooking show.
By the way, that
makes
good
more
show.
Sense.
That is a very good show.
Yeah.
What they eat on there is not very good for regular humans outside of them, but it's very entertaining. The show, to say the least.
He's a funny dude.
Yes, he is, and he does art, not fashion. We have to get that right.
Noted. We're doing what is it? Surf and turf at our place, but because we're working, Haas is taking care of the meat. I mean, I didn't even think of that. I was literally just like, oh man, well he's the one that's cooking it. But you're right, we're working, so that's that.
He's gonna come in, just slide you a plate while you're right there.
God bless. But yeah, we're doing an easy surf and turf cuisine.
How do you cook your lobster? This is gonna get into a cooking video.
We're not doing lobster. We're doing filet mignon and scallops. It is. It's like meat and fish.
Okay. I guess there's no like set rule. Nice. All right.
Yeah, because I don't like any fish that I have to
shell.
To shell. Yeah. I don't have a secret method for it, but if anybody does,
you're not on game. So you're not on game for boiling crab. You know how like over the pandemic that became a thing. Over the pandemic,
Bruh,
everybody was just fighting crabs and lobsters and shit.
I don't like boiling crab. It's too fucking messy. Excuse me. It's really messy. Then God forbid you get a crab leg and it's the sauce. I don't know. It's a lot of work. And your hands smell like garlic and I don't know. I'm lazy.
There's nothing good coming from boiling crab. Whether it be how your stomach feels and your bathroom ends up, whether it be like you're not taking a date to boiling crab, getting all this shit all over your hands, and then like have any expectations of like hooking up. Like
that's a very good point.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Nothing good comes from boiling crab.
I will add one more thing. You can't really tell if the fish is clean. Like unless you're making it at home, the fish could have like, a bunch of shit. It could just be dirty.
I can't get down with that. I've never been, and just from like seeing people on Instagram eat there, like y'all don't make it look edible for me. Like y'all don't make me want to go there. I don't want to have to fight a crab.
You should make it yourself because the seasoning is pretty good. Like if you like fish like that, like you can make it yourself, and the seasoning is delicious. But it's just messy.
I'm just trying to figure out whatever happened to the 2 for $20 Red Lobster meals, man. I'm just trying to figure that out.
God damn. They have Red Lobster in the Bronx?
Hell yeah, there was only one in Co-op City. There was one Red Lobster. It might still be there. I haven't been to Co-op City in a while, but it might still be there. That used to be fire.
God damn.
I used to love that shit.
The Red Lobster biscuits are pretty undefeated.
Yes, those are
Good.
pretty good. Those will go good with your meal, John, with your barbecue.
True. I think you can actually buy the biscuits, but you can buy the biscuit mix.
This can't be what the people are tuning in for. Our Red Lobster recommendations.
All right, hit him with the news.
Shit,
all right, so
off.
a lot of shit happened over the past week. Let's get into it. Last night, Becky Hammon was the first woman to coach an NBA game after Greg Popovich got tossed. What are y'all takes on that? How do y'all feel about the news?
I'll start. I think that, and John and I talked about this a little off air, but I think Pop was kind of in the decision. I don't know if it was to intentionally make history, but I don't think that he needed to evoke that much emotion during last night's game. So anyway, that's that. I feel like there was definitely something there where maybe he just didn't want to coach the game, or he was checked out for whatever the reason. I think it was a big win for women because it's not to say that Becky is the best coach or that she's also not the worst coach. I think it's just a good landmark for someone to just put a woman in a position to win. And in this situation, like her being an assistant coach, there's really no telling like when she's going to have that opportunity to be a head coach, or whenever a special situation like this is gonna come up. But she stepped up, she owned it, she had the respect of the players, she handled her emotions. They say that women are very emotional, but she wasn't the one that got ejected, so there's that. But yeah, I think she did great.
How about you, John?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think that Pop never really does anything. I don't know, like we've seen him for 14 plus years now. I feel like he's by far, well, I don't know by far, but like in my opinion, the most like calculated decision maker within the NBA kind of ranks in terms of coaching. And I remember reading this article a while ago about Pop and get like out of the and basically like he's only been ejected like 12 times or like something like that in his entire career. And of those 12, like over half were in the last few weeks of December. So it's like there's either he has like something else going on like around New Year's that he's always getting ejected within this last week of
that's an interesting stat.
It's super bizarre. Like that's
very weird.
Right? Super weird. So I think that I don't know. I do think that it was maybe something he did on purpose, but I also think that maybe he just like has like some secret bridge game on the fucking like 30th of December every year, and he just doesn't like to miss it or something weird like that, right? But there's definitely more to this. But however, regarding Becky, like I agree with you. I don't know if she's the best women's coach, but she, I think she's definitely put herself in the best position to become one of the most historical women's coaches in regards to NBA coaching.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's interesting because Pop did it last year too when Tim Duncan was assisting him on the sidelines. He got kicked out of a game, and it might have been in December last year as well too. And Tim Duncan coached that one game for the Spurs. So I think Pop, I think everything he does is intentional, like you said, John. Like he's very calculated. He knows exactly what he's doing. Like he knows exactly what it was going to mean for Becky to coach that game, especially against the defending champions. And even LeBron said, like, hey man, like people respected her. The guys listened to her. The guys were respectful, and it was good. Like it was great to see it. It was great to see it happen. So now now it's just a matter of time to see if she's either going to be the first women's coach in the NBA, or if somebody else is going to take a chance on another woman to come in and coach somewhere else around the league. But I feel like it'll be her eventually that coaches a team in the league.
Were there any other women that were head coaches for Summer League?
I think she's been the only one that has coached the Summer League team. I think so, if I'm not mistaken. Because I know there's a few other women that coach in the NBA, but I don't think any of them have coached in the Summer League or like preseason or anything like that. I think she's the only one that has gotten the freedom to do that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting because she's one of 6 who hold the assistant coaching role in the NBA, like regular NBA season. And you're right. I think she could be the only head coach for a Summer League as a woman.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Here's another. So I actually ended up trying to find that article again, and I found it. It's on poundingtherock.com, which is like a Spurs like specific whatever editorial. And basically, here's another like wrinkle to the Popovich thing. So it's actually he's been ejected 18 times, and of the 18, 6 of them were in this like week span. Out of the 18, also 10 of them have been where he's gotten technicals back to back, like within the same second, within the same like scene, to like more or less he wanted to get ejected, whether it be to spark something in the team to like, come back and win the game or however. So last night was a back-to-back technical ejection as well. So
he probably forgot something in the oven for dinner tonight, and he had to run home before the wife got home. You never know, man.
Nah.
You know how that goes, John. You can't leave something on in the crib, and you can't let the girl get home before you do.
Is he the oldest coach at this point?
He's 71.
He should be at least.
Probably.
Shit, because to me, I think he is, just off the fact that he's been the longest tenured coach in the NBA. So I feel like he is the oldest just off of that.
He is. Just came up.
So,
Shit, there's not that many old guys left coaching. Pretty soon there's gonna be guys that are gonna be coaching like in their mid-30s, like Brad Stevens. Because wasn't Brad Stevens like in his mid-30s coaching? Or like late 30s?
Over, yeah.
Yeah, because at some point it's gonna be guys really young coaching in the NBA.
When he took over at Butler, he was 35. He's currently 44. And
he's been in the NBA now, for 5, 6 seasons?
Since 13, so 8.
Damn, shit, he's been coaching for 8 years already?
Yeah, well, I guess 7. Since 2020.
As head coach?
Yeah, head coach for the Celtics since 2013.
Shit, I didn't even realize it's been that long already that Brad Stevens been coaching.
Yeah, man, we're all old now.
Yeah, for real, we are.
But shout out to Becky Hammon. She got her moment.
Yes.
Sure.
Definitely shout out to Becky. Shout out to Pop for making sure that was able to happen, especially against the defending champion. So that was a good look for the Spurs. It's a very classy organization.
Sidebar. You think her moment would be overshadowed because it also happened to be on LeBron's 36th birthday, and he didn't do anything out of the ordinary. But it being like the 2020 year, there's a few people saying that him being a player that's been consistent at 36 years of age in a year that's been very inconsistent, like adds to his greatness. Do you think anybody think that that's going to be overshadowed? That's going to overshadow Becky Hammon's moment?
No, I don't think it will. Like at this point, it's not that we're taking LeBron for granted, but I feel like at this point, it's like we expect him to do these things on a night in, night out. And what he did on his birthday, he had like 26 points, 27 points, something like that, like 8 rebounds and like 8
out of the ordinary.
It was a regular Wednesday night for LeBron, like literally a regular Wednesday night for him. Like people around the league wish they can even put up that stat line on their best night, and he's doing that on a regular Wednesday night for his birthday. But just Becky Hammon coaching is definitely the biggest news of yesterday, just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so on to more news. We have I couldn't find the guy's name. I forget what the guy's name was. But a random guy, like a day or two ago, tweeted that he had a conversation with Kobe Bryant back in December of 2019, I believe it was, or November 2019, that Kobe was telling him that he was getting ready to leave Nike because he wasn't very happy with how Nike was handling him and his contract and his shoes and I guess royalties and money, whatever the situation was. And he was working on his own sneaker line called Mamba. And the guy had he put up a picture as well of the shoe. It was a very trash sneaker that they were working on, if it was a real thing that him and Kobe actually spoke about. But how do you all feel about that? About allegedly Kobe wanting to leave Nike?
I feel like if it's not coming from Vanessa, then I don't know. I don't really believe it. It's Shervin, by the way. He's the one that said it. At Shervin.
Yeah.
At
Shervin,
that's his name.
I would say this much, kind of to counter argue Denise a little bit, is that guy Shervin is the person who co-founded Hyperloop. He is an angel investor in basically everything that has blown up since 2008, such as Uber, PayPal, fucking like any major app that has kind of exploded, he's had an angel investment into. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if this is true. He did post like images of shoe prototypes also.
But what if someone get like on this, like, how do you decide that on, or how did this thought even come about in December 2020, a conversation that was held December 2019? You had August to think of a big Kobe moment. You had I don't know, it for me it feels a little forced. You're probably right. I think there is some truth to it, John. I just think it's such a random thing to just now think of, and then you also just so happen to pin it to start conversation. Like, is he losing funds in something? Is he looking for clout? Like, well, is it just an attention thing? Because I get it, it's 2020. Our president.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was weird. Like, it could have maybe just been a conversation between them two. It could have honestly been just maybe Kobe was having a conversation with him, like, "Hey, man, like, if I wanted to come up with my own sneaker line, how how would it work? Like, how would I work on getting designers? Maybe, like, who knows? Maybe it could have been just a conversation about him potentially leaving Nike and doing his own thing on the side. I don't think it was necessarily him saying, "Oh, fuck Nike, they're not treating me well. They're not treating these things well," because it's just a weird time to send that news out, especially in this year 2020, where any type of news that comes out gets flipped and turned into some kind of weird conspiracy theory. Because then you had people on the internet saying like, "Oh, Nike killed Kobe," like how NBC framed Bill Cosby and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yo, man, like, not everything needs to be a conspiracy. Like, and that's why certain news doesn't need to come out. Like, what was the purpose of him telling us that? You know?
I don't know. Maybe I'm a little naive, but I don't know if there was a purpose. I think maybe he was probably having a conversation with somebody. I do find it strange that he pinned it. The way I initially interpreted it was that they were discussing creating a shoe company that was owned and, operated by the players, where it's like not so corporate kind of give and take situation, like a full on like sponsorship deal, where it's more like, oh, kind of like a Starbury, right? Where Starbury had his own shoe and wanted to give back to the community. So he made it $15. Like, I'm not saying that that's what they wanted to do. Obviously, like, this dude Shervin's he's a hedge fund like director. So clearly that's not what he's trying to accomplish. But I don't know. I wasn't quite thinking that it was so much about clout. I think maybe he was just, who knows, maybe there's other conversations going around, through other circles of athletes that he might have just wanted to put out his opinion on, that maybe we're just not aware of it at this moment. Maybe it's something else will come up later. It's like, oh, maybe that's why he was saying it, because this person started a shoe brand. Or maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe he was talking about Jerry Lorenzo and Fear of God, regarding like his big deal with Adidas. You never really know, because it's like, obviously now with like everything that's kind of come to light through 2020, corporations now really need to be a lot more aware and conscious of their market and of their consumer, and instead of exploiting it, actually like inviting these people to take part in it. right? Not just the design, not just completely ripping off their design and their culture and appropriating them, maybe like actually like bringing them on. And ironically, this is something that Kanye like freaked out about and ranted about. And although he, fast forward to today, he had a lot of, interesting. I don't know if I'm not saying that he's right, but like he had some interesting like path he was going down. That I think maybe there might just be more to this overall Sherman thing. But in terms of him painting it, that's kind of thirsty.
Yeah, like to.
I think.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead. I was just about to say. I think you brought up a really interesting point, John, and I think maybe there wasn't any like malicious intent with this tweet, but I think that maybe this guy Sherman could be just looking for his next stream of income, and now that he had a conversation with Kobe, and he has like his relationships, like now, and this tweet going as viral as it did, now other players or other sneaker designers or brands could reach out to him and see how they can expand on this idea that was shut down in January. I think like that could be the intention there, because even like even his replies to some of these comments after the tweet, like first of all, this guy had time. Like I feel like
he was on there
replying. He was like replying to people. And I think that when you do that, it could just be data. It could be data, and he could just be fishing. Like he could be fishing to see who is willing to bring this to life now that it's it didn't happen.
I could definitely see that being the case. Like I think it's just bait. I think he wants to see who's gonna bite on it and who wants to come up with their own sneaker. It's not that hard. These guys have the money. They just need to find the right people to be able to make it happen for them. So now, like for example, Spencer Dinwiddie. He has his own shoe. He declined money from I think Nike and Adidas. I forget which brands exactly, but he declined money from them so he could start his own brand, and he sells his own sneakers that he designs himself, and he does all the colorways, all the inspiration and things like that. So he does everything himself. I don't know how much the shoes retail for, but he's one of the guys that does it. So maybe he should reach out to Spencer Dinwiddie.
Sure.
And talking about Spencer Dinwiddie, Spencer Dinwiddie tore his ACL the other day for the Nets. How do y'all think that's gonna affect the Nets in the long term with him being out the whole year? And does that force him to make a trade at some point this year?
I definitely think that it's interesting. It's interesting in a couple of ways. I know that, Dinwiddie had a great year last year. He's definitely one of those players that took a big leap last year in terms of solidifying himself as a star in the league. I'm not going to say he's an all-star or an all-NBA guy, but he's fringe all-star player, right? I think it'll be interesting for Brooklyn because they were already in conversations with Houston about trading for James Harden. So if Brooklyn feels the pressure already of having to win rings while they have KD and Kyrie on their current contracts, then they kind of have to, right? Like you have to move him because he is an asset. You can move him to a team like Houston for Harden with a draft pick. Like you move Spencer with a draft pick to Houston for Harden because Houston's in rebuild mode anyways. Houston can take that on. They're going to obviously they're not going to win a ring this year, so they can forfeit the usage of whatever player they're going to trade for. So being a hurt Dinwiddie. So it makes sense for them to trade him at this point. They were already in conversation about it. Now just got to find a way to make it work and worth it to Houston. The only thing I hear is like Houston just asking for everything for Harden, which is crazy. But
yeah, they want him to clean house pretty much. But if there is a trade for James Harden to go to Brooklyn, it's not just going to be a hurt Spencer Dinwiddie and a draft pick. They're going to have to include Karis LeVert. They're going to have to include Jared Allen. They're going to have to include a few draft picks in that thing. And I don't think, to be honest, like you don't know if you'll even win a championship if you have James Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant, because we've seen the big three in Miami not win in their first year or their final year together with those three guys. We've seen we saw the Clippers last year not win. We saw the Celtics not win. We saw the Lakers not win in the early 2000s. Like, so those rings aren't guaranteed just because you have those big names. So like, if the Nets want to go ahead and gut their roster to get James Harden because they feel like the Spencer Dinwiddie injury is going to harm them in the long term, then I don't think that's going to be really smart for them to do. I think that they should just like, I think the Nets are deep enough to start a shooter there, like maybe start Landry Shamet with Joe Harris and maybe spread the floor a little more with both of those guys. Keep Karras off the bench to play with the rest of those guys off the bench. But I don't think the Nets need to make a trade, man. Just from watching them play, the Nets are all right. They'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like a player like Dinwiddie doesn't come a dime a dozen, assuming that he has a healthy recovery. It's safe to say that Kyrie definitely felt the lack of presence on the court on Wednesday, even though they did win against the Hawks. I think the way that Dinwiddie plays, like, he's really special. Like, we've talked about it before. Like, he's really special. Like, he's a point guard who can start at the 2 or who starts at the 2. He can space the floor. He can shoot threes. He can blow by, honestly, any defender. So I don't think they're going to trade him. I think if there's, first of all, Steve Nash is smart. You want to talk about calculated. I feel like he's that. So I feel like they'll wait for him to recover and then see what happens. I mean, it sucks because we don't really know when he's going to come back after an injury like that.
I mean, I do think that if they don't win the championship this year, I do think that they will make a move. I don't know. I don't know if James Harden will still be available at the end of the season, but they will make a move if they don't win this year, because if you can't win with this roster and the way that it's stacked, then they're going to have to make a trade, because it's not going to be one of those things that's like, oh, let's give them 2 years together so they can mesh and get together. Like, Kyrie and Kevin Durant are already in their second year of their deals. People forget they were there last year.
Yeah.
But, I think they both signed 4-year deals or a 3+1, something like that.
I think it's 3 and 1 player option.
So I think so the Nets are going to have to figure something out. If they don't win this year, the Nets are going to be in super panic mode for next year to make something happen so they could keep them.
Yeah, I don't think that they have to win this year, but they definitely need to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, bare minimum.
I agree.
Dinwiddie's on
most
a
definitely.
contract. Like, it's 3 years for $34 million. That's like for his, what he's performed at, like his level of performance, that's a pretty solid deal. I think next year is the last year of the deal
for him.
So, I mean, pretty movable contract. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, they're in an interesting position for sure, because they have enough cap space. They have enough guys to move. So they have enough flexibility to keep the same roster for another 1 or 2 seasons, or they can make a move to bolster their lineup in however other way they can do it with all the guys that they already have. So they're in a good situation right now, the Nets. It just sucks that they lost him this early on into the season, but it's even more interesting because even when he was playing, I think the Nets already played 5 games. Out of all the guys on the team, Spencer was the one that was the least impactful. And like this year so far, he was the only guy out of all of them that wasn't impactful. Like, Karis LeVert got his. He's had good games pretty much every game so far. Like, Joe Harris had like a 20-point game the other night. Even he played well. Landry Shamet had like 12 points the other night. So, Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan, they've all played well. The only one that hasn't played well this whole season was Spencer Dinwiddie, and then he got hurt. So like, that's a blow, especially to him.
He's only averaging 6.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists.
He's been having a shitty year so far. So like, who knows? Maybe the knee was bothering him the whole year, and he was playing on a bad knee already. Who knows? But he wasn't playing well at all. So I don't want to hear any excuses from the fake Net fans from Brooklyn talking about, oh, we didn't win because we didn't have Spencer. If Spencer's the reason why y'all don't win, then y'all gotta look at Kyrie and KD.
Do you think there's going to be, and just kind of like talking about it, like the whole Achilles thing, do you think there's going to be any type of leadership or support from KD since he had to go through that injury? Or do you think the NBA is so like isolated like these players are so isolated once they get injured that like there's no support system.
I feel like there is a support system. I just feel like some of these players aren't in a place to receive it after they're in that state. I don't know. I feel it's more mental than anything. And didn't he recover from an ACL injury before?
Yeah, I think it's like his rookie year he tore his ACL or something, or in college. So this is the second time that this has happened to him.
Yeah.
Which sucks. Like, if it's the same ACL, you got to take that doctor to court. You got.
Wait, was it an ACL or an Achilles?
Oh, here it is. So it was a non-contact full ACL tear with a complete tear of both his meniscus and MCL in his left knee in college.
In college, right? And now in the NBA, it's the ACL this year. I wonder if it's the same knee. Because if it's the same knee, that's crazy.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
That's tough.
Yeah, it sucks for him, man. That's terrible.
Right knee.
Damn, the other leg. Shit.
Yeah, that's messed up. Yeah.
Fucking Spence, man.
That's tough.
I hope he gets better soon. He's a good guy. And something else we have here that's been developing over the last few days. Christian Wood, he's been a very interesting prospect to say the least for the Pistons last year and now for the Houston Rockets. News came out that when he didn't get drafted, was it in 2015, I believe it was, the year that he joined the draft? But the year that he went undrafted, he took his girlfriend to the airport, and that was the last time he saw her. She dumped him because he went undrafted. And now the man got a bag.
A big bag.
Do you think she slid into the DMs after he got that contract?
She's definitely made a few fake accounts and has hit him up to see what the temperature is.
How many thirst trap posts do you think she's made since that contract hit?
Well, didn't he say he hasn't heard from her since?
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, that's why I'm asking how many like thirsty posts on Instagram has she posted since that contract?
Trying to get his attention.
You know, just trying to gather that eye.
Does anyone have a name for this lady so we can go figure out?
I don't think we do. But I do think he went to UNLV, and I have all my respect for the ladies, but we don't have a name, nor do we have an age. So who's to tell this isn't an exotic woman that he might have accidentally fell in love with, you know?
I love
An
how you
adult ballet
that.
dancer.
An exotic woman.
You know, you go to UNLV. Where's he from? Where's he from originally?
Spencer, let's see.
No, if Christian Wood isn't from Vegas and he went to school in Vegas, he was definitely wilding out there.
You know what I'm saying? It's hard not to.
Yeah, he was definitely making some poor decisions.
Oh, he's from Long Beach.
See,
he's from out here?
Yeah.
Oh shit, he's from here. Oh man, he messed up. Christian Wood messed up.
But he went to Finley in Vegas.
Oh, okay. That's why. He went to the almighty prep school that's now shut down. But yeah,
I don't know.
It's crazy because I wonder how many women actually consider that when they see these guys put all this work in when they're in college and in high school, and then they get to the NBA and they either don't play or don't get drafted or they go overseas. I wonder how many women actually contemplate that and think about leaving them, because now it's like, all right, I wasted my time here. So, because I know she's not the only one. Like, it's a fucked up situation, but I know she's not the only one.
I feel like he was definitely smitten though, because to echo what John said off camera, like he could have just called an Uber for this girl, and he went through the effort to take her to the airport the next day. So this is like a man who's grieving, you know, things didn't go as planned. Not only that, but his girl adds to it, and then he has to wake up the next day, probably waking up thinking like, man, yesterday didn't happen. And then it's like, that girl is like, I gotta go, take me to the airport. We live in a time where there's Uber and Lyft, and I don't know.
Pretty tragic. That's pretty tragic.
He was smitten.
He's a decent human being for driving her to the airport. And he probably in the back of his mind, he was like, "This might be the last time I see her. This might be the last time. I don't know." It just sucks, but hey, man, it worked out for him. He played for Detroit well last year. He got paid this summer. I don't know how much money he got exactly. I think what was it, 3 years, 40 million, something like that, which is a
45
super
million.
bargain.
Yeah.
It's a bargain of a deal.
Now that he came back this year and proven that it wasn't like a one-hit wonder kind of season. Yeah, it's definitely a bargain.
Yeah, definitely a bargain deal. That was a steal for Houston, depending on what their well, I feel like Houston's not going to make the playoffs regardless, but I think that Christian Wood there with Cousins, who looks really well, like just in the few highlights I've watched for him today, when today was his first day back and they were playing against the Kings. He looked good. He was mobile. He was some spin moves, some step backs. You know, he was sliding his feet. He looked all right, man. He's not the same, but he looks all right.
Cousins is one of the most dominant big men scorers like in the league when he was healthy. So if he has even half of that, he's still going to be a pretty proficient scorer. He's got a good jump shot from like 19 feet.
Man, he was my favorite center in the NBA before injuries, man. DeMarcus Cousins was a beast. He was always in trouble with the league and with the refs and whatever the case was, because he's a very passionate guy on the basketball court. But the guy was a hell of a ball player before the injuries, man. He was, I think one season he averaged like 27 and like 15 one of those years. He was killing.
No, he's nasty.
Yeah, DeMarcus Cousins is great, man. But I think Houston's going to be good with Christian Wood, Cousins, and John Wall there once the stripper connoisseur gets removed from the roster.
God bless.
Wait,
sidebar, real quick. Sorry. Do we know how this quote even came about? I don't know.
Of Christian Wood's girl.
Like, is it 6 years later? Do we know how he just remembered? Like, yep, man, draft night. By the way, guys, my girl left me. Did he just remember?
He probably was having a conversation with somebody, and somebody might have leaked the news. That must have happened, or
he's still hurt, yo.
Or what could have happened was after he signed his deal, she might have hit him up, and then he was like, "I'm gonna just slide this information out there, so then I don't look crazy. I'm gonna just say this, like, hey, she left me. She left me at the altar."
True. Okay, bet. That's what I was curious.
That could be what it is. So, I'm gonna blame Christian Wood for the news getting out. I think it was him. I think he put it out. He's on his TMZ shit early. He got money, and now he's like, "Oh, I'm a celebrity now. I gotta put this news out myself.
I gotta control the narrative.
I gotta control it." Definitely. And talking about controlling narratives, LeBron James has always been very good at controlling narratives in the NBA. So this past week, his son, LeBron James Jr., liked the picture of Larsa Pippen on Instagram, and rumors started circling that apparently Larsa Pippen wants to date LeBron James Jr. next, or that he's next in her on her list, or whatever the case was, which is super fucking weird because she's like 50 years old and still technically married and dating an NBA player, and LeBron James Jr. is 15. So
her
there's
response,
a lot.
Yeah, her response. I don't know if she posted on Twitter with the response or where this response came from, but apparently she said, "Some of these stories," and I quote, "some of these stories are so disgusting. The fact that my son's friends can't like my pics without some people writing some weirdo shit is crazy." Let's put things into like some context. First of all, like, she says this like she's like some wholesome Midwest mom posting a photo of her like baking fucking holiday cookies. Like, I'm pretty sure she's like in this like two-piece string like thong bikini or some shit. Like, it's not a situation where she's like very, I don't know, mom-like, whatever that means. Maybe that's kind of a very narrow-minded opinion on this, but I definitely think that people are making too much out of this. But there are definitely people in the country who will see something like that and be like, oh, maybe they're doing something. I don't think that people, I don't know. I think it's very strange. I think her entire behavior as a human being is strange, not just this one instance. I would have to say that her kind of behavior of jumping around, sliding into multiple DMs, being with multiple athlete men basketball player dudes, is more where this is coming from as opposed to it being just Bronny.
And I will say what Savannah put, his mom, was everything that a mom needs to say and everything that someone needed to hear. So she says, with everything going on in this world right now, this is the shit y'all want to talk about. At the end of the day, y'all are talking about a minor. I don't care what type of celebrity y'all think he is. He's a child, and the bullshit needs to stop. Y'all got the right one. So don't mess with Mama Bear.
And that's big because we never hear Savannah talk.
Never. We never hear from Savannah.
We never hear Savannah talk. Shit, even on opening night when the players were getting their rings announced, Savannah wasn't even on the thing to announce the ring for LeBron. It was the kids and his mom and his uncles. It wasn't even Savannah. So we never see her speak. And then she came out and she wants to smoke. She's ready for it.
Yeah, and before I go into like a next layer of this, LeBron replied to that saying, I quote, "Uh-oh, y'all fucked up with the wrong one now. Good luck. It won't be cute." So obviously backing her up and like supporting her stance. However, let's take this step a little further, right? In terms of kind of that relationship of, as you guys say, no, we never hear Savannah talk. We never hear her, like, she doesn't really have a platform, however you want to put it. Why do we think that is? Like, honestly, it's like,
because she ain't got time.
I don't know if he doesn't have time. I just think that there's a certain agreement that LeBron has with his wife, who's just
you're getting deep into a bag here.
I'm just saying.
I like Savannah. So I
love Savannah. I think she's amazing. I honestly do. I think like she embodies what an amazing, strong mom should embody, right? Like I think she's very supportive of her kids. She does everything for them, right? And like is very transparent. They look very, very happy. However, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's heard that there is an arrangement. Because it's LeBron James. We're talking about his son right now, who literally hasn't accomplished shit. We're talking about his DM action. What do you think LeBron's DM action's like on the road?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pretty nasty in there. But I think more so why we don't hear from Savannah is because I think that there's already enough shit that comes out regarding LeBron in general. And LeBron himself, like if we're being completely honest, like LeBron's very vocal about like social justice stuff and like everything that goes on outside, but LeBron doesn't really talk much either. Like it's not like, for example, it's not like for an example, James Harden. We always know what he's doing, where he is, who he's with, doing all types of crazy stuff outside. From LeBron, like we never hear anything. So maybe Savannah's like, hey, there's already enough news that circulate without LeBron even doing anything. And like for me to come out and like say anything or like say the wrong thing or say one thing that could be perceived wrong, and now it's the negative attention on our family when there's already a lot of attention on the family. So maybe it could just be her being really self-conscious and understanding of who they are as a people, because they're not just a regular family anymore.
For
like
sure. They're royalty.
They're like
they're
the royal basketball family.
Royalty. And
they're royalty.
Maybe I'm just sipping too much of like the Kyrie Kool-Aid with my accusations, but I don't know. I think we all know people within the game and within that organization that travels with these teams, and here's some of the stories that go on. Maybe I'm reaching here, but maybe Savannah knows, I
don't know. I don't think you're reaching. I think it could be a possibility. I think the reach was from the media.
Yeah.
If whoever put out the story of some like Bronny liking Larsa's picture and immediately stirring the pot, saying that, these weird dating rumors. First of all, Larsa Pippen is the easiest target to believe any kind of date. She is like, because right after this came the news of her being a homewrecker to Malik Beasley's relationship, and apparently like she thought that him and his wife were divorced. The wife is like, we weren't divorced, we just got divorced because of you. She's the easiest target. So for someone to literally be fishing for one of Bronny's likes is like, all right, there must have been a slow day in the news.
Like that's really insane though. Like for somebody to be sitting there and see a picture of Larsa Pippen and see Bronny James in the like and be like, oh shit, this is the one. It's like, what? Like, how do y'all connect these things? Like, that's really weird. Like, of course, like you said, Denise, like she's an easy target right now because of everything that she's done in the past few weeks. Considering that she's still technically married to Scottie Pippen, like they're still together. And Scottie, if we don't hear anything from Scottie, he's not even. I don't even see him on ESPN anymore. Like he's not even doing basketball
He's
stuff
checked
anymore.
out.
Scottie's somewhat
I
pissed.
wouldn't be surprised if Scotty thought he was separated or divorced from her already. I wouldn't be surprised. Like I don't know. I don't know if it's all there sometimes.
It's a very weird. It's a
Smokes lot of
very
weed.
weird
I'll
situation.
put that out in the universe. Scottie Pippen smokes a ton of weed, and maybe he's just to the point that he doesn't give a fuck. Like maybe that's just it. Maybe he just has his remedy, and he can just numb it away any way he needs to, and he's just like out of sight, out of mind. I'm just gonna smoke this away. Fuck it.
If there's one thing I was told when I was younger that has stuck to me is it's cheaper to keep her. So it's cheaper for Scotty to buy her a house
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
buy her a car or multiple cars, put her in the hills somewhere in LA, and they're still married but separated. She could do her own thing, I'll do my own thing, as opposed to us getting divorced. And now Scotty has to give her half of everything that he's worked for and then have to see her in the news with current basketball players. And then Scotty's like, oh, that's what you're using my money for. Like, you're
How-
just doing.
Yeah. How awkward must it be to be? Oh, hang on a second.
Scottie Pippen Jr. with the
How
Scotty
awkward must it be?
Pippen.
Well, the thing is, I wanted to segue into this conversation about Scottie Pippen Jr. and Bronny because they went to the same high school together. They're super close friends, I'd assume, right? How awkward must that be for Scottie Pippen Jr. to be in college, like freshman or sophomore in college, and your mom is like this relevant in kind of the socialite drama.
I feel like he might be immune to it at this point. Like his mom's been like a drama extended age at the end.
So you think he just knows how to deal with it, block it out?
Nah, I don't think they're in good talking terms. I mean, I'd be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And as a college kid, you're hearing it. It's not like anyone has to know know the intimate version of your family when she puts out everything on the internet. I'm pretty sure they're not in good speaking terms.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know why I thought about that. I think it's because like he's, to me, Scottie Pippen Jr. is so much more relevant than Larsa Pippen, just because he's having such a great year at Vanderbilt. Kid's averaging 22 points a game. Like he wasn't a massive recruit by any means. I think he was like a 3-star coming out of CRK.
Yeah, just the other day I saw some highlights of him on ESPN. Like he was the main portion of the highlights. I was like, oh, the kid's playing great, man. Like,
he's absolutely balling out on that conference. He literally is averaging 22 points a game. So it's I don't know why, but like I find it like I feel bad for him. Like I was got to be a really hard position to be, because now like obviously he is, because that team doesn't really have big name recruits. Like him scoring the way he's doing, him playing as well as he's playing, he's clearly the big man on campus right now because football's over for Vanderbilt. So it's like mom's in the news like this. Like I'm sure it's
that could be his chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, it must be.
It could be.
Has to be. He's also hasn't hit his growth spurt like his dad did. So he's like a 6'1" point guard, but he's doing really well. I don't know. I feel bad for him. I think it's amazing to see how well he's doing at Vanderbilt with everything he's dealing with in his personal life.
Yeah.
Could you imagine though? Could you imagine like go back to when you were a kid? Like I remember some embarrassing things in my head that my parents did where I was like, like for example, the first time your parents got a Facebook, where it's just like, okay, this is a lot.
Yeah,
this is a lot.
These are first world problems.
You know what I'm saying?
No, it's crazy how it is, like how we can relate to that in the sense like, oh, like the first time our parents got on Facebook or like Instagram or like a parent teacher conference, like it's embarrassing, things like that. Scottie Pippen Jr. has to deal with his mom sleeping around with NBA players. Maybe he plays in NBA one day and he has to play against these guys that his mom has been with.
I want to bring this conversation kind of like full circle now. You might know where I'm going with this, but to me, like Scottie Pippen Jr. is going to be dealing with the Delonte West, LeBron James situation. Always.
Yeah.
That's funny as hell.
That's fucked up.
It
Man.
is very fucked up, man.
If
Like the kid,
it's a chip on his shoulder, then I'm not mad at it.
Me neither. Hopefully he becomes the
could
next
thrive.
Isaiah Thomas.
yeah, because I think he's a sophomore now, and he's actually playing way better than he did last year. So
Yeah.
something's fueling him. It could be that,
Mhm.
or he could have just had a good trainer over the summer. Who knows?
Maybe Malik Beasley is his trainer now.
Maybe.
Oh,
Trained by
you
NBA.
ain't right. You ain't right.
Maybe he's getting those pro tips, like he's getting like, some mentorship from all the guys that Lars has been bringing around.
I'm gonna give the
Like,
kid
taking
all the
notes.
credit.
He's getting tips and tricks from NBA players firsthand.
Yeah. I mean, who knows how many he's getting like exposed to at that rate?
Could
They're
you
reading him
imagine?
bedtime stories and stuff.
Wait, could you imagine like Malik Beasley showing up and being like, "Hey, son, I could teach you some tricks," and it's just like, oh man.
Yo, I'd square up with him. At that point, it's like, all right, come on, let's go outside. Come on, let's go
Didn't
outside.
Malik Beasley get caught with like a firearm or something over the offseason?
Yeah,
What's he in
like,
court for? Am I thinking of the wrong guy?
He was like just after he signed his brand new contract, he got caught with the Larsa Pippen scandal, and then he also got caught with like guns on him somewhere.
That's
Like,
what I thought.
yeah, like he
I'm
was
not squaring
driving
up on
somewhere
Malik
and he had
Beasley. That's
guns.
all I'm saying.
It's like it's very weird. Like for him to get caught. Why do you have a gun on you? You're a professional basketball player. Why do you need a gun? Like it's crazy.
Ooh, here's what's
He's-
fucked up. How old do you think Malik Beasley is?
24. I just looked it up.
24. How old is Scottie Pippen Jr.?
Like 20 at
Oh.
most. Is he like 20?
He has to be.
Yeah, because he's a sophomore now. So now I'm tripping. So he bet like 18,
He
19.
is. He's 20.
20?
And Larsa's
Oh, he got left back. He got
46.
left back a few times.
Larsa's 46.
And
Yeah,
she's
that's
dating a
pretty
24.
embarrassing, man.
That's rough,
bad.
man. This kid's gonna have some fucking mental issues.
Hey, Scottie Pippen, if this message gets to you, come on the show and explain to us how you're dealing with this. Scottie Pippen Jr., Zoom us if you get a hold of this. Zoom us, come
Man.
on the show, man. We want to hear your take on this.
For real.
Super
We're
tough,
behind you. We're a good support group.
for
Yes,
sure.
we'll be the
God
support
bless.
group here. So,
All things considered, all things
go ahead, John.
considered, just to finish that off, the fact that he is dealing with all that shit and is playing so well is incredible. So kudos to Scottie.
yeah,
Pippen.
that's great.
Yeah.
Also, another, and on to more NBA news. The Wizards, who recently traded for Russell Westbrook, have started the season 0-5. Is that something or nothing to y'all?
It's something.
It's something?
Yeah, it's definitely something because you don't have 82 games this year. So I think the rate is like every game is equivalent to like 1.15 games. So it's more than losing just one game because games are worth more this year. There's less games to be played. So you're 0-5 in the Eastern Conference. Like you lost to the Bulls, who are 2-3. I mean, they
lost twice to the Bulls. They lost to them on Tuesday and they lost to them today.
So the only wins the Bulls have are against said Wizards. It's not good.
Pretty much. And what makes the situation worse is that I've always said Scott Brooks wasn't a good coach. I've always said it, from the way he handled the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook situation in OKC to now in Washington. A lot of people weren't really paying attention to Washington the last few years because they've sucked. Bradley Beal happened to have a great year last year, so there was a little bit more on the radar. But this year, watching the game, it was actually a really good game, the Wizards and Bulls today. But Scott Brooks made the worst mistake you could possibly make as a coach. You're down, I think they were down 2 or 3. Bertans has been off the whole game. I don't think Bertans had a point. He was like 0 for 8 from 3. He was off the whole game. He couldn't get a shot off, a clean one at that. He puts him in for the tying shot with like 40 seconds left and has him shoot it.
He drew the play up for novice.
Yeah.
Yes, when Bertans had not played in the whole fourth quarter, he hadn't played the whole fourth quarter. He put him in the fourth quarter with 40 seconds left and drew up the play for him. When the other kid on the team, his name is Raul Neto, the Brazilian kid. He hit like 4 threes today, 4 or 5 threes, and he brought them back single-handedly, hitting like straight threes forward. And they subbed him out and put Bertans in the game. Like, He cost him the game.
Damn, you guys. This is a strange reference, but do you guys ever remember the movie Little Giants?
Yes.
Of course.
Like Ed O'Neill or whatever. It's the annexation of Puerto Rico. Scott Brooks is trying to like pull up some trick play that no one's gonna fucking anticipate. Fucking like the throw to icebox or whatever, like the fake snap. And that's what he tried to do. And Davis Bertans is not icebox, and he could not score.
Yeah.
I mean, what's more complicated is like, how do you have a healthy roster and still fumble the bag like this?
Well, I think today was the first day they got back Rui Hachimura. I think today was the first day they got him back. And he had like 16 points, I think. He played well. But regardless, they should have won that game today, man. They should have never lost. That was a bad loss. It was a really good game throughout the entire game, but it was a bad loss. And Bradley Beal, and I'm not letting him off the hook. He lost the ball on the final play. It was, I think it was a drawn-out play out of a timeout, I think. It was a side-out play. And Russell Westbrook threw it to him. I think it was like a cut baseline, and Bradley Beal went up for a dunk, and he lost the ball to tie the game with like a minute left. And he knew he fucked up because after he lost the ball, he just stood in the backcourt, and he stood back there the whole time, and he didn't come forward.
I feel like more than their offense, I think their defense was just non-existent.
Yeah,
I think that's where it is.
Yeah, I think it's on the perimeter. On the perimeter, the Wizards have good defenders. They have Russ, Beal. They have Hachimura, who's a good defender. They have Trent Brown, who's a good on-ball defender in the backcourt. Who else do they have? Neto, he's a good defender. He's like a Matthew Dellavedova type of player. Like, he's super annoying. He's always around. He's always doing something crazy on the court. They have good perimeter defense, but just on the interior, they're terrible. Like, Bertans doesn't play defense. Thomas Bryant doesn't play defense. Also, another thing they did, they played Mo Wagner in the fourth quarter when they were down over Robin Lopez, who is possibly their best interior defender. Why was Mo Wagner in the game in the fourth quarter? Mo Wagner, I don't know why he's in the NBA, to be honest.
Man, Mo Wagner, calm down. Mo Wagner had a hell of a career at Michigan. Mo Wagner can play. He's just not really an NBA player, right? Like, he's not an
NBA player.
Yeah.
He's more of like a Ukrainian all-star. Like, he's more of that like overseas legend. Like, if 25 years from now Mo Wagner isn't in the NBA anymore, he makes the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's because of his career overseas and not in the NBA. Like, it'll be some weird shit like that. But the Wizards, hopefully they turn it around. I think they will. I think Russ and Beal are just trying to I'm not going to say
find their rhythm.
Maybe, I guess, but they're playing well together. I think it's just to help. I think it's everybody else around them and what they're supposed to do defensively, because Russell Westbrook has had a triple-double, I think, every game this year. He's played well. He hasn't shot the ball bad. I think only one game he shot the ball bad, and that's about it. Beal had, I think, 30 today or like in the high 20s. So Beal's averaging like 34 this year. So he's playing well. It's just everybody else like figuring out what they're supposed to do and when to do it. Like, and the coaching isn't helping.
Yeah, I think you tapped into obviously the two biggest issues are coaching and defense. Like, they don't have anyone playing defense at all.
No.
I mean, Russell a little bit. Beal is an efficient defensive player, but he's not like an on-ball lockdown dude. He's a help side guy. He's a really good help side guy. Plays the lanes really well, but like in terms of like stopping on ball, whatever. And like with the Eastern Conference being so guard heavy, it's like if you don't have one guy to like really get in there and like pester on ball defenders. And who did you mention again? I forget his name. Neto?
Yeah, Neto.
Mm-hmm.
Neto sucks. Like, I'm sorry. Let's be real. Neto's fucking terrible.
He played well today, man.
He looks like he has two left feet. The guy can't run a straight line. Like, get out of here with that shit.
He's like Matthew Dellavedova. He's all over the place. Like, you never know.
Are you gonna tell me that you're gonna be comfortable putting Matthew Dellavedova or Matthew Dellavedova light, aka Neto, on a Kyrie or on a Kobe White or a Zach LaVine? Hell no. They're gonna get exposed every time. And so to agree with you, the issue is defense, and they need to find that piece. Like, that's a big piece they're missing. They need to find one of those guys that can guard 1 through 4, whoever that, because 1 through 4 is going to be able to like control the ball, whatever. You got to find that one guy that can like take on that challenge. And maybe they got to find a way to trade for Covington or somebody in that vein, even Dort, maybe, like find an asset that can guard 1 through 4, guard the best player on the other team every night, and allow Russ and Beal to really just open up and cook.
Yeah, they definitely need a 3-and-D guy. And I think the guy they're gonna designate to just play defense all night is gonna be Rui Hachimura. I think they're gonna focus on him to be that guy. He's a solid defender, but I think from what I saw today, he improved a lot. And I know today was his first game back. He is really good, man. Like he hit, I think 3 threes today, and he had a couple of drives to the basket where he was finishing over people, grabbing rebounds, getting some block shots and some steals
too.
He can really play. So I think designating him to be the on-ball defender on like all the other guys, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like you have to find somebody else to do that for you, or not. The Wizards are going to be in a lot of trouble this year.
Well, Ruby can't guard the 1-2. He can guard the 3-4. He can like hedge on a ball screen, like on a pick and roll. He plays the pick and roll pretty well, but not well enough to like make a difference in like the overall game. I think you nailed it though. I mean, they just need help on defense. Their coach is pretty suspect. You're right. I mean, Brooks had the best roster in NBA history, arguably.
Yes.
Like you had James Harden coming off the bench. That's arguably the best roster, even though they were young and naive.
Yeah.
But when you have young talent like that, that's when your coaching really shines. That's when like you really have to prove yourself as a coach.
And I think James Harden won 6th Man of the Year that year too.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Jesus, that team was ridiculous. You had all these dudes. You had Ibaka, like, I don't know. Those teams, Perkins, like those teams were so loaded.
Yeah, those are good teams.
I think you're spot on. Brooks is not a good coach, and I think
he's not.
I think it's even more prevalent now that the Wizards are 0-5 and they have a nice roster, but they need a Thibodeau is what they need, something like that, or Van Gundy, somebody that can like really instill defense into a team that's young, that's like good like this.
They need a prayer because they need to pick it up because it's too late for them not to be synced on defense.
Yeah.
And talking about Van Gundy, sidebar, I watched Brandon Ingram interview with JJ Redick last night. I'm a fan, man. I'm a fan. He's one of those
of Brandon Ingram?
Yes. Like he's one of those guys, like he doesn't say much, but that interview like completely broke him down as a person, and he explained why he is the way that he is in certain situations. He spoke about the LA stuff, like how he wasn't really comfortable in LA and how he didn't want to be in LA anymore because of the lifestyle, and he just wanted to play basketball. So it was a really good interview. So I recommend everybody go watch it. It was really fucking good. And if you don't come out a fan of Brandon Ingram after that interview, I don't know what you're gonna do, man.
I was just gonna add, I agree with everything you just said, but JJ just getting him on the podcast is like a win of its own. He doesn't do lengthy interviews. He doesn't do lengthy interviews, let alone an interview like that. So
yeah, that was really good, man. It was a good interview. Everybody.
Shout out JJ Redick podcast though. I think I've shouted about the first episode too. Like really good interviews on that podcast.
Yeah,
like,
it's really good.
It's like that, those are the conversations that like me as an avid basketball fan, like I'm thirsty as hell for. It's like I really want to know how you guys actually feel about certain things. Like a lot of these players aren't going to like express those things to reporters because they want to. There's angles, right? They're guarded against that. But with players interviewing players, like you're getting a lot more honesty, a lot more transparency, and that's obviously what you got in the Ingram interview. I'll definitely watch that tonight for sure. That's a good podcast.
Something that wasn't on the docket, but I wanted to ask y'all really fast. Ja Morant being out 3 to 5 weeks.
Brutal for my fantasy team.
For your fantasy team, the Grizzlies are about to not make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's brutal for them. They're not only missing him, but they're missing Jaren Jackson Jr. too. Like they don't have it. They will probably miss the playoffs because of that.
Yeah, that 3 to 5 weeks was pretty brutal. Like I have friends that saw the injury and they were like, he did all that for an ankle injury? And I was like, do you realize how high that guy jumps?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I think people underestimate, especially when you've been to a live game, like you underestimate how difficult it is to land. It's more difficult to land than to jump that high.
Yeah. So it's gonna hurt Memphis a lot, man. Like they could potentially miss the playoffs now with him out that long. I don't know when Jaren is coming back, but it's not looking good for them.
No, I think Jaren's out the year. I
Is
could
he?
be wrong on that, but he had a pretty bad injury in the bubble. In like I think like the game either round 1 or the game before the playoffs in the bubble. They're currently 1-3. So now you're 1-3. You don't have your best player.
Your
don't have
other
your two
players
best
out
players.
for COVID. Yeah.
Valanciunas is there, but he's.
I mean, Valanciunas is good, but Valanciunas needs a guard to be able to maneuver him around the court for him to be able to do stuff. He's good, but
Dylan Brooks.
I fuck with Dylan Brooks. He's good.
I do
I fuck
too.
with him. He's gonna average 20 points this year. Just off of this alone, off of all these injuries and people not playing, Dylan Brooks might be in contention for most improved player depending on how long Ja and Jaren are out, and depending on how the Grizzlies do while they're out. But
This could be.
You know what that made me realize is that my 6th Man of the Year awards is completely out because now that Dinwiddie's down, Karis LeVert's got to start, so I'm out. Shit.
You can change your pick live on air like Denise did.
I was just gonna say this could be a good opportunity for Desmond Bane, who's gonna get more playing time with this.
He had a great game the other day. He had like 16 or 18 points his first game as a rookie, and he hit like 4 threes. He got drafted for his shooting, and he let it fly right away.
Yeah, so it could be a good look. I mean, things happen for a reason, and
yeah,
it could be a good opportunity for him to shine.
Maybe they can. Yeah, it's a good call out because maybe they'll be able to develop some depth now.
Mm-hmm. So
maybe Brandon Clark can actually step up and play some meaningful minutes.
He played well last year, Brandon Clark. I'm surprised he hasn't really made a lot of noise early on this year, but he did good last year. He surprised me last year.
Yeah, I'm super already over seeing Grayson Allen so much in that roster.
Wait, so do y'all think Grayson Allen is a dirty player? Do y'all think he's a dirty player?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So? Easily.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a nasty fuck for sure.
Take it from a fellow unathletic white guy. When you're playing with people who are bigger, faster, stronger than you, you have to find a way to level a field.
Yeah, because he definitely tripped Trae Young that day.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't learn. Like, how do you? I don't know, man.
There's
like, he could go down. Well, but I feel like even there's players in NBA history who have done dirty acts, even been coined dirty players, but eventually changed their ways. Or, they kind of just buzz out, like they die out. So, it's not even a name to remember. I feel like Grayson Allen plays so dirty, he could go down as like the dirtiest player.
It's like he doesn't know that he has feet, and he just throws them out there. Like,
and he's so emotional. It's for me, that's the annoying part. It's like, just shut up.
I think that's a part of going to Duke. That's a Duke trait.
It could be a Duke thing. There's going to be a lot of Duke hate coming from this show once we get into more college basketball talk.
I actually love, and this is weird, I actually love Coach K though. Like, love Coach K. Like, love watching close Duke games because I just like to see what he draws up. Because he's actually one of those good, like, college out of coaches. Timeout, he's a really good coach out of timeouts, like sideline plays, baseline plays. Like, he does really good at drawing up good plays to put people in the right position. It's just apparently his, I don't know if it's integrity or his character building for players is just apparently not of importance there.
So did you guys watch that? Oh, my bad. I was just gonna ask. Did you guys watch that ESPN? What? I'm having a brain fart, but it's the series with where they follow NBA college teams, and they did a whole piece on Duke and Coach K. It's on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, they did it last year when Zion was there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that yet.
Fuck, I honestly don't remember, but I know what you're talking about because it gave you like a look in behind like their practice facility, like the culture of Duke, right? Like all that.
Yeah. It did make me appreciate Coach K a lot more. Aside from like, it's one thing to actually see his coaching style, but to see like his ethos and like everything, the value that he adds to these players to these students and players, right? Because they're both, is something really special. You should check it out. I can't remember the name, Jimmy, but it's on ESPN Plus.
I'll definitely tap into that. Before we move on to John's conversation about the Kentucky Wildcats, one more thing, and it's about the Atlanta Hawks. They started off 4-1. Their only loss was to the Brooklyn Nets, which I believe, was last night. They play the Brooklyn Nets again tomorrow. Atlanta off to a good start. Is that something or nothing to y'all? This good of a start?
It's expected.
Yeah, it was expected. I think we all had them like doing this
at 4-1 this early already.
Yeah.
We expected. I mean, you even said yourself that this is like a team that you're going to be watching very closely. I feel like a lot of people expected this just with the synergy that they have. I'm not too surprised.
And I think the only thing that's going to kill them is going to be interior defense. I think that's the only thing that's going to hurt them. But I think they're going to lead the league in scoring. That team puts up points fast.
And I think that's obviously the balance, right, for them is you're going to give up that interior defense, but shit, the way they see it, they're just going to outscore everybody. So fuck it. Like, let's run.
Bro, you know what's crazy? Chris Dunn hasn't played yet. Gallinari has played a total of like 10 minutes. And Onyeka Okongwu hasn't even played yet. Like, those three guys have not played at all, and they're 4-1. So you could just imagine how good this team is actually going to be when they get Okongwu in, who's actually a good interior defender and on-ball defender on the perimeter. Gallinari, who spreads the floor, and he's another creator. And then you get Chris Dunn, a lockdown defender on the perimeter with Rondo. Like, this team is going to get better.
True, that's true. That they could actually be a problem when everyone's actually healthy. Like, they could be the team that's too freaking talented, if that makes any sense.
No. You know what? Ironically, I was thinking about that today because I was looking at their roster and they're stacked like 2 to 3 deep at every single position.
Yeah.
So I think their problem is going to be like trying to figure out who's going to play and who's not going to get to play because they have a lot of guys on that team that are really good at basketball.
Yeah, that's going to be a really tough team to play in the playoffs because, you know, like when it comes to playing a 7-game series, it's about making your adjustments from game to game. It's about exploiting, you know, weaknesses. When you're that deep, one person starts to get exploited. Let me look at the 5 dudes down my bench that I can have fill this spot. Like normally a team will have 1, maybe 2 guys that they can plug in to help change that adjustment, right? This dude's going to have like 5 to 8 options of people to plug in and be like, oh, fuck that. You want to do this? Let me just go ahead and put this guy in. Good luck.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough playoff out.
True.
Yo, you know who looked great? You know who looked great yesterday for them too? Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish yesterday, he on 3 possessions, I watched him. He locked down Kevin Durant on 3 possessions. There was one Kevin Durant was dribbling in front of him, trying to do a crossover, stripped it from him. There was one KD went for a spin move, swiped it from him. He blocked him on another one. He's a really good defender.
Well, I think that was a big part of, and it's interesting that like Denise, you brought up the Duke thing because now I remember what it was called, but there was a part of that segment where, you know, there was a player development coach who really keyed in on like, listen, like we're not just working our players out to do well for Duke. We're trying to work them out to prepare them for the league, prepare them for the draft, prepare them for their, you know, their role in the NBA. And it's like, that's a great point. Cause it's like, you know, Cam came into the NBA knowing that he wasn't going to be a perennial all-star. I think he came into the league wanting to be a 3-and-D guy. And that's what he's doing. Cause like, listen, that's how it was for me when I was in high school. It was like I knew I wasn't going to be like like all state in scoring, but I knew that I could play really good defense. And I, like most of these guys, when you're young, if you don't have like that all of the scoring figured out, like if you play really good defense, you're going to get a lot of playing time, and that's what's happening with Cam. That bench is deep, and he's getting a lot of time to play. Because
they're going to be really good, man.
Boom! I figured it out. It's called Earn Everything, and it's on ESPN Plus.
I'm gonna tap into that for sure.
It's good.
I gotta watch it.
It's 8 episodes. It's only 8 episodes, but it's really good.
All right, John, you want to take us away? Take us away, John.
We'll get into it a little bit. Kind of talking, we touched into college basketball a little bit today, but let's talk about, and more importantly, we talked about coaching. We talked about coaching in a lot of ways. Brooks being a bad coach. We'll talk about another bad coach. And in my opinion, Coach Calipari as the most overrated coach in all of college basketball. Someone who is without a doubt the number one recruiter in the country, possibly the number one recruiter in the history of college basketball. Could be argued. The issue is as we're starting to see, they're 1-6 this year. Worst start in his coaching history with Kentucky. They've lost to teams they lost to good teams. Richmond's a good team. Yeah. Kansas is a good team. Georgia Tech is solid. Notre Dame is solid. UNC's ranked. They're a good team. But they lose to Louisville, which is in-state rival, huge rivalry game. And that team's not they're not ranked. Good. It's not a very strong team by any means. But for me, it's, you have Devin Askew, who is a point guard who, in my mind, coming out of high school, I mean, he played on the USA team from age 12 up until currently. He's currently with Team USA and has won every single tournament he's been in for USA as pretty much the primary player for those USA teams playing over in all the summer overseas stuff. They have Brandon Boston Jr., who is one of my favorite recruits that came in, that is playing in the country right now as a freshman, who went to the same high school as Bronny and Scottie Pippen Jr., was by far the best player there. People will argue that Zaire Williams was, but I think Brandon Boston is probably one of the best just pure scorers in the country. And then you have Terrence Clark as well. The team is absolutely loaded again, and they're 1-6. The problem this year is, from what I'm assuming, is it's a lot more AAU type basketball where there's no coaching. It doesn't seem like they had the whole summer to really implement plays, to implement schemes, to implement defensive setups and sets and things like that. So you're seeing this team come out here, and unfortunately, Coach Cal isn't the kind of coach that's going to be able to make adjustments on the fly. That's never been his strong suit. Every tournament game that they've lost, it's because he wasn't able to make an adjustment at all. And some mid-major school with seniors figure them out, or some Big Ten school figured them out, and Cal couldn't make an adjustment. And I think that without some drastic transformation happening, Kentucky's not going to make the tournament. They haven't even started playing in conference games yet, and they're still 1-6 out of conference. Usually they're 7-0, 10-0 going into their conference play.
Yeah.
I mean, SEC is one of the better conferences in the country. Obviously not as strong as they are in football, but they're still one of the top power conferences in the country. You have Tennessee, LSU, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Auburn,
Vanderbilt.
Auburn and Vanderbilt are both really good teams. Missouri's 6-1, Georgia's 7-1, Tennessee's 7-0, Arkansas is 9-0. This conference is pretty stacked. It's going to be a really hard year for Kentucky to do anything. And it's interesting to see, because I think the first game I watched, our good friend, one of our mutual good friends, J-Mac, is a huge Kentucky fan. So we tend to watch a lot of those games because he's very, very adamantly communicative about them.
Yes.
And I think the first game I watched, I was like,
he will text us hey, you guys watching? It's
no,
yeah, sure.
Not bad. But one of the clear things I noticed is why the hell isn't this Mintz dude starting? Why isn't this dude playing? And every time he touches the ball, he's the only person being productive at all for that team. And it took Calipari 5 games to realize, hey, I should start this Mintz dude. And he started him over Askew, and I think he led the team in scoring that game. It's just
Askew shouldn't even be in college basketball. He reclassified.
Yeah.
He should be a senior in high school right now. So when you watch him play, he looks lost. Yeah. He doesn't belong. Sometimes he shows a little flash here and there of things that he could potentially do down the line. But right now, if you're doing this against college players and your objective was to reclassify to go to college to get drafted to the NBA, you're going to get exiled from the NBA, man. You can't even control the pace. You can't control the game in college basketball. In the NBA, you're not going to do none of that.
Yeah, he's definitely been exposed. And it's definitely going to be one of those situations where it's you maybe shouldn't have done this so early.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if he comes out this way for the draft, because at this moment, and again, it's unless he makes a drastic change and just all of a sudden becomes twice as good, he will go undrafted if he enters the draft.
He might have to call LeVar Ball to appoint him to the Lithuanian team so he could go play over there or something, because that he is not going to the league. And from the way that it looks like, how you said that he possibly could come out this year, judging from his previous decision to reclassify and forego his senior year and go to college ball, I'm fully expecting him to declare for the draft.
Completely.
Well,
I'm fully expecting him
I
to
don't
do
know. I think for Coach Cal's sake, we can keep our fingers crossed for him and for the team that hopefully those three that are potentially heading to the NBA will be successful. And as successful as anyone remembers them in high school, because I feel like that can change his narrative of a coach in Kentucky right now. Because then he could just rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
If those players are good, he can just rinse and repeat.
And that's what he's been doing.
I think COVID hurt him the most, because I think that from the looks of it, just from the outside looking in, it looked like their training camps and their off season looked like them just getting to know one another and getting to know exactly which one should be where and who's going to dominate the ball at what time. So I think with COVID this year and the limited practices and the limited training camps and all that, they didn't have time to do anything. So they're really out there just playing. They're just out there freestyling. Like if you watch a Kentucky game this year, they don't look like they play organized basketball. They're just out there shooting from anywhere.
Yeah.
They're not playing defense. They're trying to run every single fast break possible, throwing the weirdest passes that you could possibly throw. Calipari's not running any plays. It's a mess right now.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to say, where it's like it looks like an AAU team.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad in Kentucky. And I think that this could I think him getting exposed this year in this sense, like the team is 1-6 with all this talent, I think is going to show like, hey man, like maybe you should start coaching now. I think maybe you should start running some plays.
I don't think this is going to be the year that he gets exposed for that reason, for the fact that he can hide behind this could be because of COVID, because this is the first time it's been this bad. Them being 1-6, the last time that happened was, it says 1911, but it's such a unique year where it's like, yo, the only way that could have happened is with COVID. So I don't think this is the year that that people realize that maybe he should start coaching. I think it won't happen until after the vaccine.
Well, yeah, and it sucks too, because we haven't been able to see what those guys can actually do. And usually we know by now which guy is the best guy on the team, which guy has the most potential, which guy is the most skilled or the most talented. We haven't seen that from any of them this year. So even on draft night or whenever the mock boards start coming out and all that kind of stuff, like the official ones, not the early ones, like those guys might not be lottery picks. And they go there for that reason. They go there so they can play to be looked at as a lottery pick. And this year is not like, obviously they're lottery talent. The guys are good, but I don't think they're going to be in the lottery this year, considering how deep this next year's draft is going to be. I don't think they'll be there.
I think if you're, there's a few players, big like 5-star recruits, that ended up not going to Kentucky because Devin Askew reclassified and committed. One of them being Josh Christopher, who's at Arizona State and is killing it at Arizona State. So I feel like it's interesting how things work out, right? And that's kind of like a conversation I like to have with like certain people who like have had college experiences, athletic experiences, and the ups and downs of the college athlete experience. Like that's not an easy experience, no matter who you are. It's a culture shock for everyone, even if you're not playing athletics your first year of college. Like that's a pure culture shock, especially when you go to a massive school like that.
Yeah.
It's just very interesting to me to see kind of how this whole Kentucky thing's playing out. I will say that, Cal is really, really good at recruiting. I don't know.
I still want to know what he has to offer them.
Yeah.
There's something weird going on there, man. There's no way that this man continuously every year could get all of these guys there and there isn't something attached to it. There's absolutely no way.
I think at this point, he might be clean. I really do. Because
at this point,
if you look at the history of it, you have so many first overall picks coming out of the school in the past 10 years. Like you're going to be on national TV for over half of your games. It's not a great thing now that you're getting your ass beat every night. That's not good for you. But usually when you're winning and you're going to on national TV this much, like it's such good exposure for these players to get, in front of NBA scouts. It's very interesting. I think that this year we're definitely going to learn a lot about Coach Cal. We're going to learn a lot about how he can actually or cannot coach. He's typically always had excuses. I think, Denise, you brought up a good point that, yeah, he does have COVID as a very good excuse, but everyone's dealing with that. The whole country's dealing with COVID. Every university. Obviously some schools are more strict than others when it comes to like the COVID policies and how their program is adapting. But realistically, you'd have to, this is not my mind kind of like thinking harder and looking into this more. It's like, shit, this is the biggest basketball program, arguably the biggest basketball program in the country. Mm-hmm. You don't think these guys have their own like full on campus within that campus? They're too famous to be in the dorms.
Sidebar, you're right. Wasn't it Kentucky that had like this random esports program?
Yes.
Was it Kentucky?
Probably.
Did you guys see that?
I actually saw the video today. I actually saw the video today of their esports program. They have like a classroom for people to just play video games. The fuck?
But it's wild because they're tapping into the business aspect. So you're right, John. They do have the resources. They do have obviously the funding for it. I think that, I don't know, I feel like it's going to be interesting for Calipari because it could be, his years could be approaching when people start looking at him as not necessarily the coach that gets these players to the NBA, but actually like the coach that can't take Kentucky where it needs to go.
Macro view of the whole thing, yes. Are they better that they have Coach Cal than they were the 25 years before Coach Cal? Yes. Should they have won a lot more championships? In my opinion, without a doubt. Like
they only got one, right? And it was with Anthony Davis. They got one, and that's it.
Yeah. Clearly he does recruiting better than anyone. But if I was a diehard Kentucky fan, which I'm not, I'm an Indiana fan, so there's clearly bias there. I'll be open and up. However, I don't want to see my close friends just die in agony every year when Kentucky just loses it by getting out coached. And one of my best friends is a huge Kentucky fan, so I watch a lot of their games because I want to be able to converse about it with him. And it's sad. More, you know what this is for me? This is me feeling sorry for my friend J-Mac that he has to witness this. And they have the best team every year and they lose every year. And I feel bad for him.
Yes. It's a lot of pain. And this year more so than every other year.
It's rough. It's rough. I don't know. He's definitely going to keep his job until he gets caught with a violation or something else weird and random happens. He's definitely going to keep that job. But I think that as more and more situations like this turn out where they don't win games with the best players in the country, there's only one place to point the finger at that point.
Definitely. So I have a couple questions for y'all before we get into our final segment. So interesting conversation I saw on Instagram. Shout out to my boy Dre Calloway. He posted it on Instagram. He coaches out in Colorado. He's a head coach over there. Who is a better player and who would you start your team with? Bradley Beal or CJ McCollum?
Bradley Beal.
Beal?
I would say for me, it's Bradley Beal. He averages more points per game. He, for me, is a little more consistent. He's carrying a team that needs all the help. He's been loyal with the team from jump. I don't know. You look like you're about to say CJ McCollum, John.
No, not in a million years. The fact that anyone would even pose this question makes me question their basketball IQ, to be fully honest. And that's me being as polite as possible. To even have this conversation debating is just the most disrespectful to Bradley Beal I think anything has ever come up. Bradley Beal is by far the superior player than CJ McCollum. Not just purely, you can go through your stats of, okay, yes, he scores more. Their shooting percentages are pretty much the same. So I'll give him that for sure. Mm-hmm. But if you go to like your advanced metrics, he's much more efficient. His where is that called? His offensive win shares. That's what it is. Offensive win shares are higher. Defensive win share is higher, and his total win share is higher by quite a substantial amount. CJ McCollum has never led a team by himself outside of Loyola. First of all, he's had Dame to do everything for him. So if anyone wants to make the argument of, oh, well, CJ McCollum has won more games, well, it's like, well, CJ McCollum is a second fiddle, first of all. Bradley Beal's completely carried the weight of the Wizards by himself last year, and they almost made the playoffs purely on Bradley Beal's back. He's a two-time All-Star, which McCollum has even received an All-Star vote ever. Honestly, I don't think he has. I don't know if he has.
He hasn't made an All-Star game, McCollum?
McCollum?
Yeah, has he?
No.
Shit.
No, he
at least have one.
In 2016, he was voted most improved player. That's it. His only other awards was he was a two-time Patriot League Player of the Year, two-time AP Honorable Mention All-American. I mean, his only awards are from high school and college. Not saying that means shit because most of that is political anyways. But, I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He hasn't been an All-Star.
No, Bradley Beal's a two-time All-Star. He was All-Rookie First Team. I mean, exceptional help side defensive guy. Like, I don't know. To me,
he made history though.
Wild. Like the biggest thing to me is
he made it.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
Oh no. I mean, the defensive like win share is the biggest thing to me. Bradley Beal's 14.7 defensive win share as opposed to 9 for McCollum. Offensive win share is 27 as opposed to 23 for McCollum. Like the advanced metrics bury CJ McCollum. So it's to me like this. I don't even need advanced metrics to tell you that Bradley Beal's a better player. Just watch the game and you're like, oh, okay, yes, Bradley Beal's a better player. Plays better defense, plays better help side defense. It takes better, like, I don't know, takes control of the game. CJ McCollum takes control of the game too, but Bradley Beal literally carried that team to the playoffs. Well, to one game from the playoffs last year by himself. Like, you give CJ McCollum on the Wizards and put Bradley Beal on the Blazers are going to the finals. Wizards are going fucking over.
That's an interesting take.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Like, Bradley Beal is so much better than CJ McCollum in every way.
Because I'll go with Beal as well. But I'm not going to take anything away from CJ. CJ is fucking amazing. He reminds me of like Kyrie Irving in the way that he's able to like dance with the basketball and be able to create something out of nothing with his handle and with his mid-range game, which he's one of the best mid-range players in the NBA. And the way he finishes at the rim over big guys and how creative he is, like he's a hell of an offensive player. But as a basketball player, I think Bradley Beal is a way better basketball player than he is.
Yeah.
I was just going to add that CJ McCollum became the fourth non-All-Star in the NBA to sign a $100 million contract in his offseason.
All that says to me is the Blazers are terribly owned and managed horribly. Which they are. You look at how they treat other players. They don't invest into their like training staff. You lose a number one pick in Odin because you botched his recovery. You lose Brandon Roy because you botched his recovery. No, you pay CJ McCollum because terrible organization.
Sam Bowie too. Don't forget about him.
Let's not forget about taking Bowie over Jordan. Christ.
Wait, quick update. That was from 2016, but still, he hasn't been an All-Star.
Wow. McCollum is awesome. I don't want to say he's not a good ball player because all those things you said, Jimmy, are absolutely correct. However, putting him in the same conversation as Bradley Beal is, to me, laughable. Like, that's not even worth a conversation. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. It's hogwash.
So now I have a tougher one for y'all. Is in regards to the Boston Celtics. Who is the best player on that team? Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum? Who y'all going with there?
Jason Tatum.
I'm definitely going. I mean, I'm going Tatum as well, and because to me, it's like the way you classify, like the way I classify those players is Tatum is the better talent, Brown plays harder, and it's like depends on what we're talking about. We're talking about winning games. We're talking about the best player. The best player is clearly Tatum. The hardest playing player is Jaylen Brown.
But I feel like.
Yeah.
Just to add to your point, John, I feel like Jason Tatum's talent isn't something that he just rides with only, because if that we've seen players with talent and no work ethic, and it can only take them so far. So I would say that they're both very hardworking, but yes, Jason Tatum has the most talent, the more of the talent.
Here's this though, which is interesting. Jaylen Brown is averaging 28 points a game this year, and Tatum's only averaging 24. Every single year.
I'm the only person here that will take Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum. I'm the only person here that will do that. I'll take him. I feel like Jaylen Brown is better just because I think Jason Tatum is too worried about making the play look good.
Yeah, he takes the hardest shots.
He takes the hardest fucking shots. He tries to make everything look difficult and fancy. Like, as opposed to Jaylen Brown is very precise and
efficient
with what he does. Like, I'm gonna get the ball, I'm gonna give you a jab, I'm gonna give you a couple of dribbles, and I'm gonna make my move. If I don't have my move, I'm gonna give it off. Jason Tatum is dribbling, spinning, crossover, step back, all this. Like, somebody put up a stat the other day saying that Tatum has taken I think 6 game-winning shots. Now I think he's only hitting 1, and all of them have included a difficult move at the end. None of them have been something that like, oh, I'm gonna take you off the dribble and get to an easy spot. He makes the shot more difficult for himself. He's more worried about how the play looks than the actual outcome, as opposed to Jaylen Brown, which I like. He plays hard on every single possession on offense and defense, and he's willing to make the dirty plays as well. As opposed to Tatum, he's not really that good of a defender. He's gotten better since he come into the league, but he's not really that good of a defender. And he just I feel like Tatum just tries too hard to mimic Kobe's game. I get it, you love Kobe. Yeah. I get it, that's your idol, but he tries too hard to mimic his game.
Yeah, I think the only way I'm going to debunk you here and to argue you is if you actually look at the advanced metrics, it shows that Tatum is the better defensive player than Brown. Which is shocking to me, actually, because I would have thought
that's very shocking. But that's why with those advanced metrics is difficult to tell, because when you watch them on the court, Brown is clearly the better defender. Like, when you're watching the game in live, Brown is the better defender.
Who has better IQ, basketball IQ?
And that's tough because neither of them are. I don't know. It's tough for me to classify that, because I think Tatum has a high IQ. I just think he makes bad choices. Does that contradict itself?
It isn't. No, I don't think. I don't think it does. I don't think it does decisions. Because he makes challenging decisions. He goes for the challenge, and I don't expect him to get it right away. I do think that he does try to mimic Kobe's game a lot. Yeah. And I think the passing kind of made things almost makes it seem like he's a little distracted with like what his actual goal for the game should be. But I think when you're that in your head, and when you're that calculated about every decision, you eventually sink into that. Like, he's not, I don't know. I feel like he has more basketball IQ, in my opinion. Tatum does, for that alone, for the fact that he actually had a great mentor. He is trying to mimic like most players, the greatest game. He's putting in the work. He does have the talent, but he has the work to back it up. I'm not saying that Jaylen Brown isn't great either. Like, they're both very excellent players with great IQs. I just think in this particular situation, I think it's Jason Tatum.
I think there's an argument to be had. However, to me, it's Tatum. He beats him in every statistical category. And I know that as a basketball player yourself, like, I'm sure eye test is really high to you, and eye test is super high to me too. And when I watch the Celtics games, I notice Jaylen Brown, like, on both sides.
He's always doing something. He's always in the right place.
Yeah. He has a super high motor. However, it's interesting and shocking to me that Tatum has a higher player efficiency rating as well. The only thing that's the only thing why I think right now you feel Jaylen Brown is better is because of the 5 games he's had this year. And he has averaged 28 points a game this year. His player efficiency rating is up this year to 29, which is crazy. Like that's 13 points higher than what his year was last year. It's double his average. So Jaylen Brown is having by far the best year of his entire career. And a lot of that is because he's starting. He's one of the main guys. He's the number 2 option as opposed to being behind Kemba, behind Kyrie, behind Gordon Hayward. Like Jaylen Brown has the green light, is fully the number 2 option. And he is absolutely stepping up to the plate and delivering on the investment the Celtics have made in him. And I think that he is extremely playing up to that potential. However, I think if I was to start a basketball team tomorrow and my only options for my first pick was between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I would take Tatum. Because Tatum's the only one that could legitimately be an MVP candidate and take over the game.
I guess I'm the only one going with Jaylen Brown here. I guess I'm dying on that island. And I guess it's gonna be different when Kemba comes back eventually, how the roles switch and how each guy is gonna be placed into the offense. Because Kemba is Kemba. He's an all-star. He can take over games. He is a hell of an offensive player. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that dynamic works with them 3 now, especially with Jaylen Brown having a breakout year. Tatum technically being the cornerstone of the team, being the franchise technically, but then you have Kemba Walker, the guy that you paid to come here and be able to help them and be the point guard and lead the team. So it's going to be really interesting to see when Kemba Walker comes back.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's trade rumors for Kemba right now too.
Already?
Yeah, because Jalen's playing so good.
That's crazy, man.
I mean, big contract, you can unload it.
I mean, they'll be able to. I feel like they could move Kemba, but like, what value are you gonna get for him unless you know?
There's a guy in Houston who's trying to be traded.
That definitely won't work. Fucking James Harden, that will. Jaylen Brown would disappear from Boston. He would just leave Boston. You'll never hear from him again.
I hear the Mavs are interested in Kemba, the Bulls as well. A lot of teams are actually.
Those are 2 viable options.
Yeah. Good on Jaylen Brown though. He's playing well.
So now on to the final segment. I don't know what we want to call it. Do we want to call it drip report? Do we want to call it tunnel vision? What do we want to call it? But this is the final segment here, where we do our 3 best outfits of the week and our 3 worst outfits of the week. Who wants to lead us here in this segment? Who wants to take it off?
I'll kick it off. I don't know some of these brand names, but I'm just gonna tell you which ones I think are my worst and which ones I think are the outfits that I enjoyed. I'll start off with the ones I did like. So I like Boogie Cousins when he had the blue jacket on. He had the turtleneck tucked in. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was a good one.
So I just like how organized it looks. It looks put together. By now, you'll probably catch a sense that I don't like a messy fit. I don't like shit that looks unorganized or like it doesn't look like it makes sense. So I like his outfit. I like Karl Anthony Towns' outfit when he had like the lion shirt and it was like, or the lion sweatshirt. Was it a lion or was it like a wolf? It was like a wolf, some kind of animal. Anyway, it looks very wilderness. He had like some brown sweatpants, and he had some J's to match it. I thought he looked pretty tight. And then lastly, someone I wish would come back to LA, I think he's ready, is Jordan Clarkson's fit. He has like kind of like a prep school look going on. He has like looks like a polo shirt, blue jacket. I don't know. It just looks clean. I probably wouldn't have done all the Like the bag that he has.
Giannis, when he just looks like a kid that got back from school and is still like developing his style. So he's just like mimicking his friends. I just don't like the gray wash pants. Just look old. You got money. Figured. It looks like you. I see the effort with the purple. I see the effort. It didn't. I don't see the follow through. So that's my first one. I would say Anthony Edwards' outfit. I'm just so checked out with Off-White in 20 that
I feel you. I feel you.
It just didn't. We could have done better. And then lastly, for me, would be Jaren Jackson's. I said it last week too. I gave somebody something for the split pants. Just give me. Is it gonna be? Is it gonna be a green khaki? Is it gonna be blue jeans?
That's a pretty nut ass looking pant. That looks insane.
I don't understand what's the two-tone. I don't know when that came.
Yeah. They're also capris on him too.
They're super tiny and they're skinny. So if it's a khaki, I get it. If it's a jean, I don't even think the socks were it. Like,
I think what makes it worse is that like one side is like polyester and the other one is denim. So I think that's what throws it off even more, that it just looks really bad together.
Yeah.
Those two should not be put together.
Yeah, that's a rough one. Well, I mean, Palm Angels is super cheesy as hell to me too.
Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree.
Like it's literally like one step away from Philip Klein. Like that shit's awful.
terrible.
All right, John, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, should I do my best or my worst first?
Let's hear the worst ones. Let's see
right.
it is.
All right. Kyle Anderson was one of them. Let me go through my images and make sure I remember what this looked like. I just took notes and I put them aside.
We took notes.
You gotta like flag them as they happen. I'll start with Jaylen Brown. I'm not sure if you mentioned Jaylen Brown. Maybe I'm just hating on Jaylen Brown today, but
I did not mention Jaylen Brown for the record.
He looks super disheveled, and I hated his outfit. So he was wearing like this oversized, like military green off-white parka, apparently, with like.
You lost me at off-white.
Yeah, exactly. With an orange Heron Preston shirt and these like. I don't think they're Supreme, but he's carrying a Supreme bag. And the shoes he has are like these black with white shoes, but they have flames on them. I don't know. It's honestly.
Are those the Gucci ones? Are those Gucci low sneakers that have like the flame on the side? Is that what it is?
No, it's like flames. It looks like a 96 kind of, like an Air Max 96 kind of. It's like flames all around it, like from the front all the way around it. I don't even know what it is. It's just, that's bad. Like that to me is like a little kid fit. It's terrible. Dennis Schroeder. I didn't like his Louis Vuitton matching set. He looks like he looks like Kylie Jenner dressed him as if she was dressing Stormy. Like he looks like Stormy dressed by Kylie Jenner in this outfit, especially with like the Yeezys on. I don't know why. I was like, what the fuck? I just, to me, this is like
yeah, that's pretty bad.
I'll be honest. I'm a fan of Schroeder's play. I've never been a fan of his fits. Like there was once where he was wearing like a little Yachty shirt. I don't know. I just feel like maybe he just has this has nothing to do on his game. I just feel like he has a very, I'm trying to say this politely, but there's no other way. Immature fashion sense. I think he needs a designer. There was like, that's a good one, John. That's a good one.
Yeah, no, it was bad. And then Jordan Clarkson, I actually could not stand. He wore this matching camp high, like sweat short and matching like hoodie set.
That was awful.
Oh my goodness. That also looked really bad. Like,
He looked he looked like an old like immigrant person's house with like all that, like like when you go like when you go somewhere, they have the couch you can't sit on that has the plastic on it, and they have like the rug under it and shit. That looks super
yeah,
weird. That's what it
yeah.
looked. It looked terrible.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? Like, clearly it's too cold in Utah. So instead of waiting to wear the fit in the summer, which is a short sleeve, not short, but it's a shorts with like a short sleeve kimono fit. But he wanted to wear it so bad that he put on sweatpants and a matching hoodie underneath it just so he could wear it during the freezing cold in Utah. And he paired it with a pair of Crocs. I don't know. For me, man, it's like, I get it. You want to be fashionable. You want to like market yourself in that way. But to me, this was the most try hard outfit I saw. And I just laughed when I saw it. I was like, you look like
he tried really hard with that one.
Look awful. My top three, I actually really liked Aaron Gordon, and I've never ever seen a fit of his that I was like, oh, that looks cool. This is the first time I've ever seen him look decent. And he wore a brown like oversized suit, like a camel oversized suit from this company Alba Style, who I believe is the daughter or the wife of John Barry, the old basketball player.
Oh, that's dope.
Which is super.
That's
super
really
random.
cool history.
Yeah, but the suit looked it fit him really well. The dude's like 6'9", but it looked really good. And it's like,
yeah, it looks really, really good.
Yeah, his shit looked really good. I liked that a lot. I liked.
Wait, is his girlfriend a stylist?
Who, Aaron Gordon?
Yeah.
I don't know. That I do not have details on. He's not someone I've had to reach out to or hunt down to try to put clothes on because he's never been a fashionable guy to me. So I actually haven't done one person that did make his appearance back kind of like his traditional style of just like kind of coming in super loud was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He wore it's a bias, but he wore one of my homies' jackets, Bossy Sportswear. It's a patchwork jacket, like a vintage patchwork jacket. And League Fits posted it, and League Fits a lot, like 117 comments on the jacket. Basically, the jacket's hard. Looks like.
Is it the one that he wore? Is it the one that he wore with the Carolina blue Jordan ones?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's a nice jacket.
Yeah. Also wearing a mask from one of our homies too, from Shadow Moses.
Kenny.
Yeah. Shout out Kenny. But unbiased aside, like it's again, Shai can pull off anything. He really is one of those dudes that just purely has good taste and good style. Plus that jacket is super rare.
It looks very festive.
Yeah, it's a fun jacket.
It's a very festive jacket.
Yeah, but I know firsthand that maybe 10 of those were made. And I talked to the designer, and he has no clue how Shai got it. So like, it's not like Shai hit him for it for free. Like Shai bought that somewhere, and the designer doesn't even know where he bought it. So like that whole fit, the whole fact that Shai does the shit himself, I just love that. I think that shit's cool. I really liked Darius Bazley today too. I don't know if you guys saw him. He was wearing a Colts hat, which really caught my attention, which was tight. Shout out Indianapolis Colts. But he was wearing
already biased.
Yeah, I know. But he was wearing the New Balance 550s in the white with blue. He was wearing the Saban cream pants, but like with that Saban, which a lot of the guys are wearing now, with like that 3M kind of like iridescent knee patch that photographs amazingly with the advisory board crystal hoodie. That was a dope fit. This is one of like the best well put together fits of the year, actually, and one of my favorite fits of the year for sure. And then I know I've gone to 4, but Gordon was an honorable mention. But number 1 was, I actually like both of Kuzma's fits this week. Kuzma had 2 good fits this week. Ironically, was wearing the pants that Bazley was wearing in a different color. The Saban.
He pulled them off better, I think.
Bazley or Kuz?
Kuz.
Yeah, it matched his fit really well. The sweater is sick that he's wearing. And I love that he actually matched his mask to his fit. It drives me nuts that more people aren't doing that.
Yeah.
It's not a hard thing to do. Like I know that mask company makes a mask in every color in the palette, like in the rainbow. Just go to their website. You can find any color you need. Like, it's smart that he's doing that. His stylist is a good stylist. It's smart that he did that for him. But that look is dope. I'm not
I wonder how he
fan.
was getting around the arena because he clearly can't see. His bucket hat is covering his eyes.
Somebody made a funny comment. He's like, this dude looks like Raiden.
He does.
Which I thought
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, which I love that. And then today he wore a really cool like Capital cardigan in these custom cargo pants from another one of our homies, Torino. But Torino's a dope stylist himself. But both of those fit this week. In terms of consistency, I don't think anyone's more consistent than Kuzma. Shai, sometimes he tries, sometimes he doesn't, Clearly he doesn't have but that's kind of the difference. Kuzma's using multiple stylists to curate his looks. Those 2 looks he wore this week are from 2 totally different stylists, whereas Shai is doing himself. So you can kind of see there's a lack in consistency between the 2. However, when Shai comes correct, it makes the loudest noise.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good fits this week, and I think those are my top 3.
Yeah, there was some good ones this week for sure. So I'm gonna start with my favorites first. I gotta start off with, let me find this joint here. D'Angelo Russell. I gotta start with D'Angelo Russell. He had on the matching set, the black with the white with the I think it's a Martine Rose turtleneck under with the white. I think is white Common Projects. I think they look like the shoes, but he looked mad professional. It's like he wore like the NBA guidelines dressing, like the suit, but it was his take on the suit. It was really dope. I liked it. It was one of the better put suits that guys do in the NBA. Some guys try to do too much with that. Another one I really liked was Kevin Love. It was super basic. He was all kiffed out. He had on the kiff sweater, the kiff jacket, the pea coat. He had the sweats on. He had the Christmas dunks on. So he was very festive and wearing the Christmas dunks. And the outfit was very simple. It's a very New York outfit. Like, you see a lot of people in New York just wear that sweatpants with a pea coat and a crew neck and a backpack. Like, it's a very simple, very clean outfit. It was very well put together. And then my third favorite was KCP. He looked like he just joined a gang in LA, and he had to dress like that to walk down the tunnel. He had on the black plaid shirt open with the black bandana, with the Christian Dior Chucks on with the black ripped denim. Like, it was well put together. He looked good. He looked good like that. But you could tell like he's being initiated into something. I don't know what it is. I hope it's basketball related.
The other thing, he has like the full like Dior accessories too on that.
Yeah, with the saddle, with the
bag and the
bag.
shoes too. Yeah.
So my 3 worst ones. Oh my God, I've got to go with Willie Cauley-Stein. I don't know what the hell he was doing. He had the Naruto headband with the skinny jeans with like
super skinny, by the way.
Super fucking skinny. Those, I don't know what the hell he was doing. Then he had on like some Clark looking shoes that I don't think were Clarks. They're probably super expensive, but he looked like a substitute teacher from 4th grade. That was a really bad outfit. I don't know who okayed that for him. Another one, unfortunately, I gotta say LeBron. With the all brown fit. He had the bodega dunks on with the olive, very tight sweatpant. They clearly don't fit him. They're way too tight for him. He had on like the matching top to go with it, and then he had on the jacket to go over it. I feel like it was too much going on with the outfit. He tried to outdo every single brown and olive on his body. And LeBron is usually very well dressed, but this was a really bad one.
What is that shoe he's wearing?
That's the bodega dunk. It's like baseball themed.
Yeah. Do you fuck with it? It's getting a lot of hype.
It was. I like the Friends and Family pair better. The white pair. The white pair look really nice.
Yeah.
But this one,
I just think the suit looks just too tight. I think that's what makes it look kind of weird.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like, I think it's too tight. It doesn't fit him. It looked really bad.
Well, in his defense, he's 6'8", 250, so.
Yeah, true. And then on to somebody else that isn't vertically challenged. Bobo, his outfit was awful. He had the Rick Owens zip up hoodie with the, I guess, gallery department chrome hearts denim, and the denim is too small for him. So if you could zoom in on the picture for the listeners on the Bobo fit, they added length to the pant, which was like an extra, I guess, like an extra foot on the pant, I guess. And it's so bad you could see the cut on the bottom. And then he wore the Cactus Plant Flea Market dunks. Like I said last week, I think it was LeBron who wore the Cactus Plant Flea Market dunks, the green ones, and he wore it nicely. This is what you don't do with those dunks. Bobo looked terrible, man. Like, I get it. You're 7'3" and it's hard for you to find clothes. I understand it, but you gotta, like, John, you might know. Does he have a stylist?
He does not, but here's something I do know about that fit. Those jeans, like, those are like $2,000 jeans. You can get, like, they're custom made. So if you're getting them custom made, get them made in your own fucking size.
Yes.
If you're gonna go
That's
through
what
the
I'm
trouble
saying.
to pay that much money, you might as well just talk to your salesperson there and be like, hey, I'm 7'9" tall. Can you possibly get me a 40-inch inseam? And they'll be like, yeah,
Yes.
we're gonna charge you another $500, but yeah, we're gonna do that for you. Like,
Do we think that COVID has something to do with maybe him not being able to get a tailor as quickly as possible?
No,
that
I'm
kid,
not. No,
that
no,
kid doesn't know what a tailor is.
Listen, Denise, we let you defend Calipari with COVID. We're not getting it off of Bobo. We're not doing it. Not for, and to end it off here with Bobo's fit, I'm gonna end it off with a hot take. Chris Boucher from the Raptors is what social media wants Bobo to be. That's what they want him to be. Also, it's been real. It's been episode 3 of 3 the Hard Way. Happy New Year to everybody. Take care. Have fun. See y'all next week. Peace out.